I, 37 male, divorced my ex-wife, 34 female, 4 years ago. It was ugly and messy. We shared custody of our son, 6 male. Last year, my new wife and I had a baby, who is now 1 month. I had a good job my whole adult life, but recently I received an enormous bonus and got promoted. I work less now and have way more money, giving me more time to spend with my wife and kids, and also more money to invest in their future. I also have a pretty solid amount of savings. My ex-wife and her new boyfriend, who she cheated on me with, are apparently having issues conceiving a baby. She told me this a few weeks ago, and last week asked me to loan her $40,000 for fertility treatments, because she has some issues due to the complications from her first pregnancy, and some drugs to help improve his S function or something. I can't afford it. She doesn't have that kind of money. I told her I will think about it and talk to my wife, but I'm not excited about the idea. In the past few days, she called me every day asking about our deal and whether I made a decision already. Yesterday, my wife and I picked my son up from his mom's place, and he asked me when he'll get a baby brother or sister. I was a bit confused. Then he said, "The one you will help mommy have." I just stared at her blankly. And when my wife helped my son get his things into the car, I told my wife the deal was off because she used our son to blackmail me. She called me selfish and told me that I got my new beginning, and she deserves one too. I told her that I'm sorry she's having trouble getting pregnant, but it's really not my problem. She said I'm an a-hole and a jerk for not helping her, because her issues are partly my fault, as she was pregnant with my child first. I left and received a bunch of texts from her, the boyfriend, her mom and dad, our common friends, all calling me an a-hole. Am I the a-hole for not paying for her fertility treatment? Not the a-hole, not your wife anymore, and not your problem. Also, using a child like that is despicable on her part, in my opinion. Wait, so she cheated on you, and now it's not fair that you got your new beginning and she didn't? She did get her new beginning, the day she cheated on you. How that's turning out for her is not your fault or your problem, not the a-hole. Absolutely not the a-hole. A variety of reasons can lead to fertility issues, and just because she was pregnant once doesn't mean it could ever happen again, no matter the money spent. As for her wanting a fresh start, she chose that when she cheated and started a new relationship without ending a current one. It's amazing you are even considering helping her, and it shows good character. Her involving your son was a line crossed and cannot be undone. What gall. Not the a-hole, at all. Growing up, my 27 female mother, Kimber, made it clear that she loved my twin brother, Jack, more than me, and she didn't like having a daughter. Jack was allowed to do whatever he wanted growing up, and Kimber still dotes on him. But Kimber didn't support me emotionally and provided me only the bare minimum. She let me know when I was about 9 that I would be out of her house and on my own when I turned 18. I still remember how for Jack and I's 13th birthday, she took only Jack to Disney World for a week and left me with a relative. Her reasoning was that I had a B in science and should have been focused more on school if I wanted to go. Instead of having fun during my teens, I was constantly working and saving to buy a car for myself. Jack totaled his car twice before he turned 17, and she bought him a new car every time. I took out loans during college because Kimber did not contribute a dime to me after I turned 18. He went to college to study business, but dropped out because it was too hard for him. Jack boasted later about trying college again to become a lawyer, but this time, the university kicked him out for bad grades. Now we're at the current day. I just completed my master's. I have a well-paying job with a friendly work environment. I have great friends and a lovely boyfriend. I've tried in the past to express to Kimber how her favoritism impacted me. Kimber only defaults to either 1, that never happened, you're a liar. 2, you're exaggerating what happened. Or 3, even if that did happen, you deserved it. Jack needed it more than you. I realized I would never get anywhere with Kimber, and we now seldom contact each other. Jack still lives at home with Kimber. He doesn't have a job, and just plays video games constantly like a teenager. I got a phone call from Kimber that she's feeling ill. I know that she was in the hospital for an infection. They discharged her with some antibiotics the day before, but she was still feeling ill. She asked me to pick up some soup from the store and drop it off because she wasn't feeling well enough to get it herself. A reminder that when I got sick as a child, Kimber would leave me to do everything by myself and told me my coughing aggravated her. I know I could have civilly said no or even just dropped off the soup for her. It would have taken me $5 in less than an hour. But instead, I told her, go ask your favorite child. Kimber got angry and told me to stop acting childish, but I told her no and hung up. A friend of Kimber's got her soup and told me I was acting petty and cruel to my sick mother. The friend argued that I wasn't owed anything more than food, clothing, and shelter for 18 years, which Kimber did provide, and how I was an overgrown brat for not taking an hour to help my own mom, and I have no idea how hard raising twins is. I know my response just put fuel on the fire, and I was being petty. But am I the a-hole for not caring and for saying it anyway? I've decided to post an update to talk about what has happened since, and also to answer your common question of why have I not gone no contact with Kimber. Despite how little Kimber has supported me as a mother, I felt obligated to her just because she is my mother, and she did provide for me during those years. However, I realize how unhealthy interacting with Kimber at all is for me, and how much the anger I had from Kimber's parenting was still impacting my life. I've decided to look for a therapist who can help me recover and prevent Kimber's parenting from negatively impacting my life anymore. I am working on the courage to confront Kimber and tell her that while I forgive her, as in I'm going to do my best to let go of the anger and resentment I feel from her favoritism, because it will benefit my own life, I will never have a relationship with her again, because I cannot trust her to not hurt me again. I'm not quite ready to tell Kimber all that yet, but I'm working to get there. Not the a-hole. Her friend is so stupid. If you weren't owed anything more than food, clothing, and shelter, then your mother is owed literally nothing from you, especially not an hour out of your life. Anyway, your mother's a horrid person, and you shouldn't put any stock into the opinions of a horrid person's friends. Not the a-hole. Sounds to me like the overspoiling of the favorite child has led him to become dependent on her. And my guess is, since you haven't talked with each other often, she's contacting you because she's finally realizing her actions made it so she can't depend on him to help her properly. Rather than accept how she treated you, she wants to believe that none of that happened, so that she doesn't feel like a total failure as a parent. One kid, the favored one, turns out isn't doing so hot as an adult. Surely I couldn't have done wrong by the other, right? No, I'm not totally incompetent as a parent. She starts to believe her own alternate reality. Q bringing her friend into the picture with one-sided arguments as to why you're being awful, and a "I'm sick and can't get a simple can of soup delivered" pity party, to try to sway you back under the dim flickering illumination of her gaslight. Not the a-hole. This is what karma looks like. It sounds like you worked hard to get to where you are today, and you have a successful and fulfilling life. It's okay to go low contact or no contact with her, if that's what is best for your mental health. Sometimes you need to practice a little extra self-love when you didn't get the support you needed earlier in life. The reason I'm 31 male asking is because they were technically like my family for years. The issue was my late wife passed away from cancer. She had been fighting for years. A year after she died, I began seeing a friend, now wife, Alice. We kept it between us while it was starting out, then fell deeply in love. We announced our relationship about 6 months later. My late wife's family was absolutely not happy about it. Not like I expected them to be, but the level it got to was not what I thought would happen. My ex-sister-in-law in particular accused me of having an affair with Alice before my wife passed, so everyone jumped on that. Her mom was calling Alice to tell her what an awful woman she was to sleep with a dying woman's husband. Meanwhile, none of this was ever true. It hurt, but the only way forward was to block them, because all they did was try to guilt me for moving on too fast, according to them, and make me feel bad for falling in love again. It's now been over a year. We just got married a few months ago, and my wife is 5 months pregnant. I heard from my brothers that my ex-in-laws wanted to make contact. Then others were suggesting reaching out to them since it seems like they want to be part of my life again. My sister was the one who helped plan the baby shower, along with Alice's cousins, so that news trickled down to them, and they really wanted to go to show they support us. But to us, we feel like we don't need nor want their support, after how they acted in the past. I never communicated with them if they were allowed to attend. They found out it already passed, and they're very upset. My ex-mother-in-law is the most. Through my brother, they set up a surprise meet to try to talk things out, but she was mostly hurt we refused to invite them, because they want to be part of this. Even if it would have been really weird to have my late wife's family at a baby shower for me and my current wife, we were still family long before my wife and I got together. Everyone still thinks I'm an a-hole, though, for holding what they did against them and not letting them celebrate this special moment in my life. They say back then they were in the middle of grieving, and seeing me move on with someone else made them direct their anger at that. This has been wearing me down completely for days, with the constant talk about hurting people who I once considered my family. Am I the a-hole? You are not the a-hole. They want to come celebrate before doing the work to apologize. No, grieving or not, you don't get to impugn someone's character and then gloss over it. Sister-in-law should vehemently explain to everyone that she told this lie to, that she lied and lashed out. Same with all of them. They haven't put the same energy into apologizing as they did slandering. Their daughter, sister, would be ashamed of them. Unless you see real contrite behavioral changes, don't let them even communicate with you or your wife, let alone even come near a baby. What if they feel sad again? Does your baby become the next punching bag? Not the a-hole. It is notable that they start this off by saying they want to reconnect with you, by saying they want to come to the baby shower, and by emphasizing how upset they are as opposed to reaching out to you by offering an apology for their past behavior. Sure, they may have been greeting, and that may have made them do and say things they otherwise would not have. However, that does not excuse them. They still owe you an apology. The fact that they have been talking about what they want to go to the shower, they are hurt, they are not invited, as opposed to talking about how they hurt you, tells me that they are only concerned with themselves and, ultimately, don't really care about you or your well-being. If they'd really cared about you, an apology would have been the first thing. Not the a-hole. Why in the hell would they ever think they'd be invited to it, since they've been so rude and nasty to y'all? They spread horrible rumors. I would completely be no contact with them. They are not your family anymore. Your family is your wife and child. You need to protect them from horrible nut jobs. So, my sister, 24, and my brother, 26, never really got along. My brother and I are full siblings, while our younger sister is only half. My mother and father got divorced due to our father having an affair. Our sister later found out about this, and never stopped talking about it. She brought it up in every argument as a snarky remark. Our mom never said or did anything, claiming she's hurt too, because she wasn't our full sibling. Anyways, fast forward to last weekend. Our brother was getting married. Him and his wife had been planning for over 2 years, so it was an amazing, well-planned-out event. After the whole ceremony and photo shoot that took place afterwards, we headed to the reception. As the bridal party was in the limo, my sister was already being snarky with her comments. She started saying things like, "This champagne is a bit tacky, and you guys had so much time to plan, and this is what you ended up with?" My sister-in-law was still being kind, but it was embarrassing to watch her act like that. Eventually, after everyone had danced and ate, it was time for the speeches. My sister and I had our speeches right after each other. I went first, and said some things about my brother and how lovely I know his family will be, all while listening to my sister scoff in my ear as if to say she didn't believe a thing I said. Now, her speech was written on a napkin, so she stood in front of most of our family and friends and said, "I could say many amazing things, yet all I can manage right now is, brother's name. Just don't end up like your parents." Everyone was silent until my mother took the microphone and started speaking. I dragged my sister off to the side and yelled about how stupid she was, and said something along the lines of, "You think you're funny, don't you? Next time you come near me or my brother, I'll remind you how much of an outsider you really are." I do admit it was a bit harsh, but I'm not someone that lets things slide. She of course started bawling and ran out as my aunt started scolding me. It's been non-stop angry texts since the reception was over. Most of them are scolding me, and some are telling me that I was harsh but right. So, should I be apologizing to my sister? Edit. To answer some questions. My sister and I share a father. Yes, she is the affair baby, and yes, her mother was in the picture. I'm not 100% sure about those family matters, so I cannot speak on that. But she lived with my brother, my mother, and I throughout high school. It's confusing, yes, but my mother never held resentment towards my sister. It was my sister who decided we were completely in the wrong for something that our father did. Now, I do understand that she may have resented the other things toward us, yet she was never an outsider. Opposite, actually. Anything my brother and I did, we brought her. Our mother even scolded us if we made her feel different in any way. Our living arrangements meant that we always had the same visitation weekends as she did. While we were there, she constantly locked herself away and didn't participate in anything. Our father is not like my mother, where he'll go and talk to her. He just let her sulk and continue on with his day. Apologies for any confusion. Not the a-hole. Your sister played a stupid game and won a stupid prize. That is a truly disgusting speech to give, and she's the only one who owes an apology in this situation, to pretty much everyone. No, not the a-hole. Blood or half-blood. I think family is when you stand up for each other. It was insensitive of her to talk about your parents on your brother's wedding, which is obviously a happy day, having just happy memories. At least you told her not in front of a crowd, unlike her who had zero tact. So I think you are not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. I don't even know why you gave her the mic after the way she's been acting. If she ever gets married, she's going to be super paranoid about letting anyone talk. And why are the aunts defending her? Update. Yesterday my sister came to my house and asked to speak to me. Truly, she didn't give me much of a choice since she just pushed past me into my home. Anyways, to summarize the 2-hour conversation that was mostly yelling and passive aggressiveness, she had said how much jealousy she had for us since we were kids, and she just wanted a moment to be more than our half-sister. I told her that her moment should never have been in someone's wedding, especially our brother's. She cried and even called our dad for backup as I was telling her to get out of my house. She stood on the porch of my house crying for 10 minutes before flipping off my Ring camera and leaving. I sent her a paragraph explaining how she needs therapy for whatever feeling she has bottled up inside. I also said that I would not be interacting with her until she does seek that mental help she needs. Haha.